It's GoGoMediaGirl, and I'm at Forbes CNBC with
Nosipho.
Okay, cool. So what do you do at Forbes?
So I'm a business television host for CNBC Africa. I host a couple of shows, my favorite one being Beyond Markets, where we look at how financial indicators move markets in Africa. And I also do Latitude, which is a business tourism show. And I also am part of the teams for Closing Bell, East Africa, and Power Lunch. And that's what I do all day, just running in between shows and trying to tell the African economic story with as much credibility as possible.
Can you tell me what you do again? I mean, like, your title?
All right, so I'm an anchor.
Oh, okay. You already said that. So can you give me, like one short little sentence to describe what you do?
Okay, so basically it's coming in and writing the stories together with your producer about what's happening across Africa and then telling it.
Cool. So you are like a reporter?
You do go out and report sometimes, but most of my work is in studio, so I get guests to come in and chat to me in the studio.
Oh, so it's like a written interview, sort of, or something?
It is an interview. Oftentimes it's not written because it still has to be very current. So based on what's happening in the markets on the day, we get the big players of the story to come into the studio, and we just have a real life conversation, except that it's live.
Okay, cool. And when you are doing the interviews, is it like on TV live?
Yeah. So my big show, Beyond Markets, it's absolutely live. So there's no room for, oops, sorry, I made a mistake. Can I do that again? So you just go. It's just the way we're having this conversation right now. So it's unscripted. So you don't have this rigid and stiff script that you have to stick to. You basically just get the story out of the person.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is it kind of weird that I'm interviewing you and usually you're the one who interviews people?
Well, it's weird on a number of levels. The first one is that I'm so totally impressed by your age and the fact that you're doing the interviews right now. And also, yeah, I'm used to asking all the questions and digging for information. So to see how you're responding to my questions is a little bit unnerving.
Okay, cool. So what skills do you need when you're being a
anchor?
Anchor.
Okay, so basically the most important or critical skill that you need is you have to be able to communicate. It's about being confident and being able to deliver things really well and to speak really well. It's something that you can work on and you can build over time. As you all know, confidence is something that just gets better as you know your material more. And obviously, it depends on what show you're on, the content. So for every show, the focus will be different. For me, I have a big focus on politics, so I have to understand politics. So I've studied political science and I've studied diplomacy. And for other anchors whose shows are more focused on the numbers and the financial markets, they will study things like the stock exchange and how to sell shares and how companies are doing. But the most important thing that you've got to have to make it as an anchor is confidence, because you can learn everything else after that.
Cool. And what school skills do you need? Like reading or anything?
So you hit the nail right on the head. The most important thing that for you to make it in the media industry is you've got to start reading from a very young age. I started reading from the age of 4, and I really think that it made a big difference in my life. So you've got to love reading. You've got to be inquisitive. So you've always got to ask that annoying question of why? Why? Because that's how you get to the story. So if you're a person who if you're told something and you don't think about it, you don't look at it in different ways, it's going to be very difficult for you to make it. But if you've got a natural inquisitiveness and you always want to understand things from the perspective of other people and you're open-minded, then you're going to make it. So yes, you need to read. You also need to enjoy writing, because a lot of the times, by the time you get in front of the camera, you have to write what you're seeing on the auto cue. So if you can't write, then it's going to be a problem. So that's reading and writing are probably the biggest skills that as a young person you should be focusing on if you want to make it into the industry. And another fun thing to do that prepares you really well is debate club. It's the best thing you can do if you want to make it in this industry, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, all I do on a daily basis, I just have debates with people. Those are the conversations.
Cool. And I want to say that that's really funny, because I started reading when I was 3, and I still love it a whole lot. And I like writing a lot too. It's really fun, and I like to write good stories when I'm in class and everything. So
yeah, well, it seems as if you've got most of your building blocks at TikTok. So you just make sure that you keep to those, and as you grow, you also include newspapers, and when you're online, that you do the fun stuff, but you also then go and look at the perspectives from other people. One of the really interesting things about media now is that you can sit basically and look and read about a story that's written on the New York Times, but also get an African perspective about it. You can get a perspective from a Middle Eastern perspective or an Asian perspective, and that's the beautiful thing about contemporary media today, is that it's one story, but it can be told in so many different ways. And if you wanted to make it in the industry, you've got to have that drive to want to hear the story in a whole lot of different ways.
Cool. So any tips you'd give somebody who wanted to become an anchor one day?
Yeah, basically I'll give you the same tip that I got when I first started as an anchor. You've got to believe that you're the best. And that's the level of confidence that you've got to have. Being on television looks really easy sometimes to people, but it really means that you have to have a lot of belief in yourself and in your capability. Can you just imagine if Christian Ananpo went onto TV and she'd said something like, I'm not too sure, I could be wrong, but what do you think? No, she never does that. She'll always come out and she'll have a view about something and she'll put that view there. It's okay for people not to agree with you. It's okay for people to even change your mind, but you've got to have that presence, that self-motivation and that belief that, you know what, I am confident and I understand my material and I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to tell it really well, okay? So that's what I would say. Really believe in yourself and what you can do. And the only way really that you can really start to believe in yourself is that if you feel that you've prepared enough, so you know enough about what you're talking about, so that you can actually stand up and speak authoritatively about it. And so for anybody wanting to branch out into this industry, I would definitely say, number one, you've got to have lots of self-belief and lots of self-motivation. This game is about pushing yourself. This is one of the very few places